got a show, very entertaining.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you don't know who this be, it's your girl Kyler B coming at you with a new video. Today we're going to be talking about Love is Blind Season 2. I watched the full season and the reunion episode that came out basically earlier this morning. So I'm just giving my thoughts and opinions on each couple. 6 couples agreed to say yes, to being married without ever seeing. And only 5 actually got into like the living process and stuff like that. If you guys don't know what Love is Blind is, go watch my season 1 review, and I'll be linking it above and down below in the description box. But anyway, in season 2, I'm gonna get straight through the couples and my thoughts on the reunion. So I really like Ianna and Jared. They were good. My only problem was that, before the marriage thing was the Mallory situation where, Jared basically wanted to have his cake and eat it too. He was with Ianna, but he was still talking to Mallory in that situation. And then, him proposing to Mallory first. And then, since Mallory said no, he went to Ianna. And then he's trying to say like, oh, we're both, both Mallory and Ianna are on the same level. But I'm like, you still made the decision to propose to Mallory first. So therefore, Ianna is your second choice. I mean, that's by default. Like, no matter how you try to spin it, that's the truth. But anyway, spoiler alert, they said I do, and they actually got married. Now, Nick and Danielle, they were the first ones to, agree to get married in the pods. And then, they were just having these like little, I guess, insecurity issues with Danielle. She was always having like these little, arguments about little things and become a big thing. And then, Nick was just like, is it Nick? Yeah, Nick was just like, just like wondering like, should I even continue doing this? But, he, powered through that relationship, and, even despite they're having these issues, they agreed to get married, and they got married. So then now we go to Natalie and Shane. Natalie and Shane, oddly, they seem like a good fit with each other. But, Shane just seems so weird. So in the pods, Shane was talking to Shayna and Natalie. He always said that Natalie was his number 1. But then he was also flirting with Shayna. So then there was this whole situation where, he was like, he asked Natalie to be his girlfriend, and then he still wanted to talk to Shayna and like flirt with Shayna. And then that was just like, yo, you just told Natalie that you wanted him, like in the pods, that she was your girlfriend, and then now you're talking to Shayna. So anyway, they agreed to get engaged. They got engaged and started living together, and everything was going fine. But then the bachelor party came, and Shane wasn't feeling good. I guess during the bachelor party, there was a scene where he couldn't hit a baseball, and he actually played baseball in college, so he kind of felt like a loser. So then he started drinking, and then I guess when he came home to Natalie, he like really had an argument with her, and he said that he hated her and was like the worst thing that ever happened in his life. And that was the night before the wedding. So then when the wedding day came, he was like feeling nervous, but he still really wanted to marry Natalie. And he said yeah, he wanted to marry Natalie. And then Natalie was like, no, I don't want to marry you. And she was basically saying like, from last night you said all what you said, so it's kind of like I can't do this. So they didn't get married. Now let's go to Deepti and Shake. Deepti and Shake were together, and the thing is, they had an emotional connection, but Shake just never saw Natalie in a not was it Natalie never saw Deepti in a physical connection. So therefore, he was always telling people like, oh, Deepti reminds him of a family member, specifically like his aunt, and basically just telling everybody who was willing to hear, that he's just not attracted to Deepti. So on the wedding day, Deepti obviously said no. And he seemed very hurt by it, but he kind of played it off and was just like, well, celebration and whatnot. So then, him and Deepti, didn't get married. So then we go to Salvador and Mallory. So Mallory, had this connection with Jared, but she turned Jared down, said no, and she agreed to get married to Salvador. But her and Salvador were having some type of, I guess, communication issues, something that was going on. And at the end of the day, Salvador was like, at the altar, he actually said no, he can't marry her. So therefore, they didn't get married, and it just seems like there was more going on. So then we get to a person who agreed to get married, but, they ended their journey very quickly, is Kyle and Shayna. Shayna liked Shane, but Kyle is an atheist, non-religious. Shayna is a Christian. So in the pods, they had a very much like high disagreement about about their religion, or well, obviously Christianity. And then I obviously was like, yeah, that's not going to work, because obviously if you have beliefs. I understand there's people who, might break, bend or compromise themselves for things like that. But if these are your high core values, you have these beliefs, and you have somebody who's strongly against your high core values, that should have been a no from the pods. Like, you didn't even need to see Kyle. You should have said no from the pods. But she said yes in the pods. They go to Mexico on their honeymoon. The first night, she was like, I gotta sleep in another room. She goes to another room, and the next thing you know, she packs her bags and leaves. She leaves Kyle in Mexico. Then Kyle kind of hunt her down, find her, because Kyle gave her his mother's ring. So he hunted her down, was like, let's give this a try. So they met Shayna's parents and family. And, after meeting, they asked him, are you religious? Are you a Christian? Are you a person of faith? And he was like, no. So then her mother was like, yeah, no, he's a good guy and all, but yeah, I don't see that working out. So then, after that meeting, Shayna finally told Kyle's like, yeah, this is not it. So Kyle's like, what? Like, I guess he felt confused, but I was just like, you should have known, man. Like, that's not gonna work. Like, he felt like he was just trying to push it as being, onto her, like, let's give it a try, let's give it a chance. But I'm just like, what's the purpose of getting married if you kind of foresee that it's just not gonna work out in the long run? So obviously she kind of waited too late to tell him no. But you should have figured out when she left you in Mexico not to continue. But anyway, so that happened. So now we have two people who are married. So Jared and Ianna, and then Nick and Danielle. And the rest were not married. So we get to the reunion, and the reunion kind of starts off, basically everybody dislikes Shake. He Nick Lachey had to call him out. Jared had to call him out. Nick had to call him out. Was like, I unfollowed you from Instagram because of how you act. Basically, everybody was not on his side. I think probably the only person who's actually his friend is Shane. But even Shane was like, yeah, no. Like, you need to stop talking. You need to stop doing things. But he was like interrupting people and talking. So they kind of showed, Shake talking about Deepti, like, how he does not, view her in that way. and all that stuff. And they kind of showed that, and they basically talked about how that was basically the watered down version, because he was telling basically, like I said, everybody who wanted to hear or who was willing to listen about, what he thought of Deepti. And actually, those people that he told actually went back and told Deepti, like, no, this is not the guy for you to marry. So that's probably what made her say no at the altar. So then, Kyle and Shayna were having it out, and Kyle was like, you should have said no in the pod, you never should have said yes. And Shayna was like, yeah, I owned that, blah, 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 blah. It also was revealed that Shayna kind of lied to Natalie about how she felt about Shane, which was basically revealing, because I think there was a one night on the beach where Shayna called Natalie and said, if it does not work out with Shane, I have a guy lined up for you. And then she comes and to this like friends gathering, and she's like talking to Shane, and then like Shane was like, what's up with that? If it doesn't work out with Natalie, if it doesn't work out with me and Natalie, you have a guy lined up for Natalie. So then with that being said, she's like, oh, your relationship is fake, blah, 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 blah. Shayna's kind of actually lucky that wasn't actually aired. They kind of like glossed over things like that, because like that whole argument of Shayna and Shane about how his and Natalie's relationship is fake, to come to terms that even at the reunion, it seems like Natalie and Shane's relationship, there's still a lot of emotions there. So it seems like they're probably giving it another try. Who knows? But yeah. So, Shayna was getting called out for like, how she, after talking to Kyle, she tried to give it another go with Shane. And, Kyle tried to call her out for that or whatever. But, I guess, I don't know, but Kyle's expecting more. After she said she shouldn't have said yes to you, you could have just let it at that. Then Salvador actually revealed that, him and Mallory used to have arguments. And that in those arguments with Mallory, he just never felt heard in those arguments. And it's kind of obviously noticeable if you watch the season, that Mallory didn't really seem too interested in Salvador that much. And obviously the whole Jared and Mallory conversation kind of like seemed like that. I don't think Salvador even knew the extent of that conversation until he actually watched it back and saw like, oh, Jared was like really trying to get in on you, and like basically trying to like downplay, like, because with the ring thing, like saying like, oh, I would have gotten you this type of ring, but because I asked you, and he didn't get you the ring that you wanted. So after Salvador like seeing that, he was like, yo, Jared, when you told me about that conversation, you said it was a joke. But obviously Jared was like, he had to apologize to Salvador and stuff like that. Obviously, so Nick and Danielle are still good together. Ianna and Jared are still good together. Seems like, everybody's doing okay. I mean, Shake really was just digging himself a hole. Like every time he spoke, everybody was just like, what is going on? You just heard people whispering about him as soon as he started speaking. You can see like after like the second time or third time he started speaking, like Nick and Vanessa Lachey were just like, yo, stop. Like Vanessa Lachey even like went off on Shake, which was just like, bro. And then he had the audacity to say that he was attracted to Vanessa in front of Nick Lachey. Like, hello? But it was actually a very dramatic season than season one. Season one wasn't too dramatic. I mean, not that much, but this one was more dramatic, What else? They also gave like a preview of this new type of show called The Ultimatum, which is basically similar to Love is Blind, but not really. Is where one part of the couple wants to get married and the other part of the couple does not want to get married, and then they get to switch their partners for 3 weeks and get to choose at the end if they want to continue being in that relationship with the person that he came in with, or switch their partner and be with the one that they got to meet with for 3 weeks, got to live with for 3 weeks, which seems like an interesting show. That is coming to Netflix on April That's coming to Netflix on April 6th, so that will be interesting to look out for. But yeah, this season of Love is Blind was actually a pretty decent season. Like I said, I really did enjoy Jared and Ianna's relationship. I mean, the only thing that I didn't like was just how Jared was moving. But, you know, at the end of the day, you know, he knew what to do. He acted right. Nick and Danielle, I mean, they really weren't giving much. But, I mean, besides little, little arguments about whatever, they obviously got married. And then, despite the fact, I mean, it seems like if, Natalie and Shane didn't have that argument the night before, they obviously would have been the third couple to get married. So, it seems like outside of the show, they're still trying on their relationship because they still love each other. So, at the end of the day, based on two couples getting married, the experiment again has some type of, success that Love is Blind, whatever. But yeah, let me guys know what you guys think about this season, your thoughts on each couple, all that jazz. But if you like the video, comment down below, let me know your thoughts, comments, and concerns. And if you have not subscribed to my channel, subscribe. Anyway, thank you guys for watching this video. Peace.